hope you're having a great day. And today we're going to talk about going from being in the college financial realm of a career, helping parents get their students into colleges and getting the loan processes done, to becoming a career and life coach. So join me today as I talk to Tara Goodfellow. Hey Tara, I'm so glad you could join me today on Wednesday with Weezy. I hope you're doing well.
Happy to be here. Thanks.
So Tara, let's delve into this. In the past, you used to work with student financial, I want to say aid, but I'm assuming it's more, was it financial aid or was it loans, or what part of that bubble did you work in?
A few different areas in higher ed. So I started in admissions and helped families from Florida come up to a college in North Carolina. And then I moved into brief stint in recruiting, and then was a financial aid officer at the Art Institute of Charlotte. So it was student loans, any type of scholarships, a lot of loans, filling out the FAFSA form, how am I going to pay for college? And then I was a financial aid director at the Art Institute of Charlotte. And then I managed 4 departments, one of them being financial aid. So it was more a shift to the budgeting for the school. And then actually Chase, I shifted from being on a school campus to visiting school campuses. So I would try to visit all of the colleges, universities in North Carolina and share with them Chase's products for student lending. And then I did different presentations, identity theft, budgeting 101, financial aid 101, those sorts of topics.
Well, that makes for a very busy lifestyle if you're having to do all that travel. So what made you shift from going from Chase over to the career coaching?
So when I had just accepted the position at Chase, I found out, I think 3 days later, that I was expecting. So I'd already given my notice at the Art Institute. And I called my boss, who actually used to be my student lender. So he had, promoted me for the position or encouraged me to apply for the position. So I called him and I was like, look, I know legally you can't say, just kidding, the job's not yours anymore. But please tell me if this is, going to be a burden for the team or the department. And he was thrilled for me. I actually told him before my parents, I was just so terrified.
Oh, wow.
I go from having jobs to no job. And what do I do then? So I shifted to Chase, expecting my first daughter. And then 2 years later, still working at Chase, I had my second daughter. So with one child, it was manageable still to do the travel. I enjoy travel. With 2 at 2 different kind of sitters and places, it was just becoming almost impossible to do. Luckily, with my job at Chase, it was, work from home. I kind of created my own schedule, so I had a lot of flexibility. But just with a 2-year-old and 4-year-old, I decided to give corporate America a break, and shifted into full-time mom mode. And then got a call from a dean at the Art Institute of Charlotte, and she said, "Hey, your name's come across my desk. Would you be interested in teaching college career development?" I said, "No, thanks." Hung up. The next morning, literally still in bed, and woke up my husband and I said, "I think I'm going to teach." He's like, "Did you dream about it? Like you were so..." Nope, not gonna do it. And I was like, "No, I have no idea, but I definitely think it'll be fun." So I called the dean back, and I had already told her no. And I said, "Just kidding. I'd love to do it, but I really don't like talking to people. I want to engage people. It's a very stressful time. It's a lot of unknowns." The Art Institute has a pretty non-traditional, had a pretty non-traditional group of students. So there were some that I was teaching that had 10 plus years more professional experience than I did. There were some that were first kind of group in college with their families. So there were a lot of unknowns. Some where it was, I'm reinventing myself for the 3rd time. I'm going to go into interior design, for example. So I had a very unique population. I wasn't just teaching, okay, we're all accounting majors, let's go find jobs in accounting, which I loved. And I really liked that dynamic of it all being different and interesting. But I had recalled from my undergrad and even some grad classes that I didn't really enjoy being taught to. I had to do things to really learn them. And I thought getting a career is pretty darn important for me to just say, this is a resume, put this on your resume.
So let me ask you, let me
mhm.
just stop you there for a
Yeah.
moment. So when you were working with your clients, did you bring in like some, you said you didn't like just being taught to. So did you bring in like special special tools or visual aids or something like that?
For
And
when I was teaching,
for when you were teaching and advising, yes.
yes. So when I was teaching, I said, I really want a lab. I don't want to use whatever book you have. And they said, absolutely, go for it. So they gave me a lot of freedom to craft it as I wanted. And I, of course, was learning as I went along as well. But I tried to listen to what are your challenges? What do you know? What do you not know? Where's your starting point? It was a pretty creative group. So a lot of them really had a dream of starting their own company. And I thought, that's fantastic. You're super talented, but you also have to have a budget and know those numbers, which was a weak point for a lot of them. So I would bring in different resources. So I'd bring in SCORE, and they would speaker from SCORE, and they would explain, okay, this is how you get to a profit, break even,
Mhm.
those sorts of things, as well as public speaking was really scary, which is for most of us.
Most of us, yes,
Yeah.
including me. I'm like a behind the camera person. Being here in front of the camera is not my most comfortable point,
Right.
but you
And
do
that
it.
makes sense. A lot of creatives too, like that, they go through their art, right? So it's their design that they want to kind of speak for them. But I thought, to interview, you still want to appear confident. So practice, we did a lot. I could feel the looks of absolute just beaming at me. Like, I can't believe you're making me stand up and do my 30-second speech. And we literally had kiddos and adults in class, sweaty palms, sweaty forehead. Like, good, get it all out here. And then when you go out to
I can totally relate. Like 4 or 5 years ago, if you told me that I could always get through the 30 seconds and stuff, but to have to compile a speech and be able to talk to people, to teach people, to come in front of the camera and interact with people 4 or 5 years ago, that I would have been right there with your students with the sweaty
hmm
palms. But I always say in my business and when I'm coaching people on how to be on camera, um, is you have to start somewhere and just keep walking forward and keep walking forward in your imperfection, because you just get better and better as long as you go.
Absolutely.
um, so what when did you stop? Are you still teaching, or you've stopped
No,
teaching and
not
now
still
you're
teaching. I stopped teaching, and I had launched, my girls were 2 and 4 at the time. So I had initially started teaching. One of the goals and kind of exciting points of it was I had 2 toddlers. So to engage that kind of non-Elmo TV watching side of my brain was exciting. While I was still teaching, my friends knew, different colleagues knew the content of my course. So they would start asking, I got questions. Can you look over my resume? Should I say this in an interview? What about when they ask this? I just got this low offer. Can I negotiate? So from there, I just kind of quietly and casually launched my company, which is Athena Consultants, thinking, okay, well, this would be fun. Really not having any grasp of how big the need was. That was 10 years ago. And it started as the documents, so resumes, LinkedIn profiles, cover letters. And from there has grown through referrals to a global client base.
Wow, that's awesome. So you just said a word, LinkedIn. So many people, so many of us, it's like we know that we need LinkedIn, but we're a little intimidated by LinkedIn because it's so much more professional than a lot of the other social media platforms. Is it truly? Do you need to really speak on that with a professional, keeping your professional and that professional look of about you on LinkedIn?
In most cases, yes. There are some, if you're a MD, LinkedIn may serve a purpose for maybe securing speaking engagements or something like that. It used to be thought of as soon as you made a LinkedIn profile, your employer thought you were looking for a new job. That's really no longer the
Oh,
case. There
wow.
certainly are job seekers, so I work with that a lot to optimize the profile to make sure, if I'm a recruiter, I'm a hiring manager looking for videographer. If I'm searching there, then the right folks come up and your profile's high up. It is really a good professional place. It's where folks are going to look from HR. It helps you if you are looking for a job or even making connections, business connections, to kind of have that virtual opportunity to connect and meet with somebody. Even, I give you a great example. I have my profile optimized. A lot of clients find me out from LinkedIn. And I had a director of career services at a college 2 weeks ago reach out to me, and they're looking to revamp their career center and also hire a career coach. So I was like, oh, well, glad that my profile worked. So that's something that I'm working on right now and looking into. But that was completely through my LinkedIn profile. To date, she has not asked or seen my resume, but it really is kind of that professional view and opinion of you. A lot of creative folks don't love LinkedIn because it is still pretty boxy. I mean, it's not a lot, but you can put your links. When I'm asked to be quoted for articles, I put that in there to add credibility. So it's a really good source for people to kind of qualify you.
All right, very good. So what are some of the other areas that you might, now that that's how you got started, so what are some of the other areas you might be helping people with their career paths, and do the career paths, I guess this is where the life coaching kind of comes in when they're making changes in their life?
Yeah, so I started thinking, okay, well, absolutely, I can, create a strong resume for you. I can craft a cover letter that you can send off for X job that you want to apply for. And then, I realized it's really a huge shift for many folks. For some, it is, okay, I need to apply for this promotion that's coming up, submit the documents. But for a lot, it could be, I get a lot of calls when folks are laid off, and that's very emotionally charged situation. It's a big part of your identity, right? The amount of hours that we spend working for many of us is 40, 50 plus. So I went back and took a 6-month certification program in life coaching for, the person that calls me that might have been a stay-at-home mom and is now searching for a job because of a recent divorce, or having to care for a parent shifts what your demands are and needs are for a job. So I apply that sometimes in tandem with career coaching, and other times it's more of a life coaching event, motivation, confidence, organization, time management, all of those aspects. So most of the time my tagline is from stuck to unstuck to soaring, because that was the word that just came across regardless of any of the demographics, was I just feel stuck. So a lot of times before I even do the documents, probably at least 2 times a week, I say, you know what, I'm actually not ready to do your resume, because first we have to target and really focus in on what you want to be when you grow up. At least a few industries, at least a few positions, because I want to craft a targeted document for you, whether it's your profile or your resume, so that the right people are finding you, the right systems are matching your terms. So a lot of times they're interwoven between the life coaching component and the career coaching, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's I'll get a call, do a resume, move on. Other times it's just life coaching. I am a huge procrastinator might be the topic, and we'll work through a lot of those coaching sessions.
So what's your target market? Is it mostly, are you college age, more the people in the middle age transitioning? And
so my clients have range, and I really I had no interest, they always say, like, pick your, hone in, pick a really narrow group to focus on. I had no interest in doing, just sales folks' resumes all day long, every day.
mm-hmm.
So I do the same process, kind of what are you searching for? What are your goals? Then how are we getting there? And aligning that more so than just specific industry. So I have clients a lot of times coming maybe right out of college, but it's because I've done mom or dad's resume usually, up to folks in their, I think 73 was my oldest client. So
I was going to ask you who your oldest client was. And so, I mean, unless you're telling something, what is a 73-year-old working on? Like, is it like, are they doing a book or?
Yeah, it's, kind of that encore career term cut on for quite a while of, okay, it's kind of reinventing myself after, a lot of times I'll get folks, men and women that are in, say, mid 40s, and they have checked the box of I've made a good living, or check the box, financially, but they're not feeling fulfilled. Other times it's a big shift from being a business owner to corporate America, or from corporate America to a business owner. So it really depends on the situation, but usually a reinvention of some kind.
You touched on something there. So many of us that are solopreneurs or have been in business for ourselves, I know sometimes I think about, it's like, would I be hireable since I've worked for myself for so long? There used to be a caveat that corporate kind of frowned down upon. It's like, if you work by yourself, you may not have the skills that we need, and blah blah blah. Is that a true, or is that a myth?
Depends. There is, right, there's a reason a lot of us are solopreneurs. We kind of enjoy creating and making our rules as we go along instead of following them, and that's fair in a lot of cases. But I think it's really positioning yourself as a value add, because you haven't been just climbing up the corporate ladder. You have a really unique perspective based on your experience. So I'll do a selected accomplishment section on a resume, and that's really important, especially when we're, not just going for that next step up. To highlight, what's the value add? What are you bringing to the table? And a lot of times it really is that unique perspective, because you're wearing so many hats as a solopreneur, and you have a lot, you feel the pain points of a lot of different areas than, say, if you were just in marketing, you're just working with producing a marketing document. So it's really how you can share that message and show your value add. Same thing with military. A lot of times when it's military to civilian, they think kind of the opposite. They're going to be super, super structured, not thinking outside the box, very specific role that they had before. And it's showing your value add and what you bring to the table. And it's a different perspective.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to find out more about you, where would they go to find out more information?
From the website, I always offer a free phone consultation, because I want to make sure we're a good fit. And like I said before, I don't always say, yep, let's start working together. There are some folks that was like, let's spend a little more time on career exploration or thinking about your needs from your next job, role, goals. So that even you can sign up for my website, which is consultathena.com.
Okay. Well, I think, is there anything else you would like people to know about you before we close this out, Tara?
I don't think so. I really still, after 10 years, I thought for sure I would do this for a year or two until the girls went to school, and then probably go back, and still every day, except for having to do taxes at the end of the year. I love my job. The unique aspect of it, and, really try to give a personalized approach. That's about it.
So do you, one other question is, we know how to find you, and the link is here on the bottom of the screen.
Great.
But also, do you do speaking engagements or workshops or anything like that?
I do a lot of workshops for LinkedIn. I do a lot for, especially the beginning of the year, kind of with time management and prioritizing. And then I'm certified in DISC communication. So I do a lot, many times with business owners or departments in corporate America, where it's learning your communication style and learning how to communicate effectively with kind of the 3 other major communication styles, and then those stressors and those motivators, so that you can have the most effective conversation. Just like I apply it when, say, I'm working with an engineer who's going to be very process oriented. They don't want me to shout out in the middle of our conversation, "Ooh, I have a new idea." Whereas a creative wants that brainstorming space. So my approach, even to how I'm presenting information, is very different. So a lot of times that's the big presentation topic.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad that you agreed to come on and talk with me on Wednesdays with Weezy. It was fascinating, the information that you had to share with us, because so many people do, particularly us middle-agers, we when we have to make a transition, we get very nervous of, do I have what it takes? Am I really, would somebody really want to hire me, or am I going to have to make a road for myself? Just so many questions, and that those unknowns cause for a lot of anxiety and too much negative mind talk. So it sounds like you have a fabulous program in order to help people work through those processes, on top of, finding the right career niche for them. So very interesting. It's been a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So with that, everybody, till next month. Yes, you'll notice I'm saying Wednesdays with Weezy. I had started out with the shit I used to do, but I am going to drop that title and go back to Wednesdays with Weezy. And you will find me the third Wednesdays of each month. And if you would like to be a guest, please shoot me an email or just send me a private message on Facebook. And I would be glad to talk to you to get you on the schedule for Wednesdays with Weezy. Have a great week, everybody.